Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising 2021. Scorpios, you're starting a brand new chapter in life. Everyone actually starting a brand new chapter in life, but for you, it will be centered around your role as a caretaker, giver, a parent, because Saturn and Jupiter are going to join together from the end of 2020 and the whole 2021. They'll be influencing your fourth house from your Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, which is all about caretaking, nurturing, family, your personal emotional world, and life. It's almost like some of you will be able to settle, to start families. But before we go there, let's recapitulate what's been happening with Saturn and Jupiter in your third house in 2020. Third house is a communication house, and Saturn and Jupiter passing there for the last almost 2 years, actually, Saturn's been there, might have created some restrictions or limitations connected to social connectivity. Well, of course, we had the COVID and self-isolation, but for Scorpio, maybe it was felt much stronger because of, wherever Saturn is, we feel it more intensely. And a lot of you maybe had to eliminate certain friends from your life or people that are no longer valid, because Saturn only wants to leave quality and not quantity. And you question people that you are generally friends with, or generally third house is acquaintances, friends, people you hang out with, people in your social circle closest around you. And I had a lot of Scorpios that terminated relationships with relatives, with neighbors, with teammates, with workmates, some of them willingly, because they realize these people maybe are toxic, or they're not productive in their life, or they're wasting their time, or others because of outer external reasons. And we had the biggest reasons in 2020, like people no longer going to the office, meeting mates of any sort, social interactions limited of any way, and even though Jupiter was there as well, it was not strong enough. Jupiter is very weak in Capricorn, and if anything, it just intensifies the restricting influences that came on your communications, on your social life. But still, it could have brought some new people in your life, while eliminating some old ones. Maybe some people moved away, some others you decided not to be in your circle anymore. But mostly when Jupiter also passed there in 2020, maybe some new acquaintances or associates and mates started appearing in your life as well, while clearing the old ones. But also while Saturn transits the third house, you might have felt quite almost like stuck when it comes to communication and to expression. I've often noticed when Saturn transits the third house that people feel they're unheard, or even working in a team, they can feel like the others are not listening to their ideas, or they can't explain them correctly, some kind of frustration in communications that can happen. But the ultimate goal of Saturn in the third house is to teach you to structure your thinking process, to think you to put more order in your head, in your internal narrative as well, to work to master your communication skills. But usually it does it by introducing some blockage, or you becoming strongly aware of some communication impediment or communication stress of some sort. And I even had like a dear astrologer to me, that she's so good at communication. She's Scorpio rising, and in the last 2 years, while Saturn was in her third house, she could not do videos anymore because of responsibilities. And third house is videos, media, some kind of blockage, there, and because of she didn't have even internet and things like that. So there was some complications for many of you in connection to communication and also to transport. Often cars break down when Saturn is in the third house. Often problems with software, with internet. But also a lot of you were mastering some skills for the past 2 years, because Saturn allows you to dig deep, to really repeat over and over and over until you master a skill to perfection. I remember when Saturn transited my third house, I mastered astrology, learned very specific techniques. Third house is to train, to learn the practical side of how to do something, to learn skills of any sort, not educate philosophical education of any sort, conceptual, but very practical, hands-on, like apprenticeship, like learning to drive, like learning to play an instrument, like learning to carve, or learning to operate a software machine, a software of some sort, or learning to build your own website, or learning to make videos. Third house is marketing, media, anything that you use your brain, anything that you use your mind and your skills and communications and your thinking and writing. Some of you worked on some writing projects that were kind of probably taking longer. Some of you, and that you had to really master discipline in that area. But occasionally Saturn in the third house can also, because it's our internal narrative, our self-talk, the communications, and Saturn can lower the vibrations. And I had some Scorpio people tell me that they had a little bit of a mental depression, almost like always seeing the darkest, always seeing the most difficult side, always seeing the, and you naturally, as Scorpio, you have Capricorn here in your third house. So you tend to, this is the nature of Scorpio, your thinking is like, always goes to the worst case scenario type of thing. And they say that's why Scorpio is probably dark, a bit darker, and possibly those anxiety might have increase in the last 2018, 2019, 2020, when Saturn was in your third house. This likelihood to think more negative, but hopefully Jupiter helped a little bit in 2020 for you to learn to take yourself out of those negative self-talk. And the ultimate goal of the Saturn in the third house again is to learn to control the thoughts, not to allow them to overwhelm you. And of course, we start doing that because first Saturn introduces more negative thoughts and anxiety and likelihood to worry. But after that, because it's a long period, it's 2.5 years that Saturn stays in your third house, at the end, you just learn how to control those and how to master your thoughts. So you kind of have like a diploma now in communications, in mastering communications, in mastering some skill and knowledge. A lot of you maybe studied something. A lot of you might have like a diploma in more business communication, or in more structured communication, more structured writing, in more structured speaking, or in more perfected skills. We talked about that. And how to control your thoughts. But if there were also some complications with siblings or with relatives or with mates, some difficulties happening there while Saturn was in the third house. Now Saturn and Jupiter both moving out of your third house, they will be resolved by the end of 2020. And in 2021, you're no longer going to deal with any such problems. But I hope that Saturn and Jupiter in the third house has been also quite productive for you, especially people that have their own business. This requires a lot of mental, business and work that requires organizing, planning, a lot more structuring, and usually people who have their own business or working on any kind of business or administrative environment have a lot of responsibilities when Saturn and Jupiter in the third house, and when they come out, this is when they see the results of that. So you might have been able to improve your sales skills, your communication skills, more to streamline the, say if you have a website, to make it more practical, more easy to access, or some of you to had to chisel down and remove certain clients so they can have just the most quality clients, so to speak. So the hard work that you've done in this third house with marketing, media, communication, business, commercial transactions, you start seeing the results when Saturn comes out. So you have will start running naturally, and you're no longer going to feel so many administrative responsibilities and mental overload anymore. But Saturn and Jupiter moving into your fourth house, and the whole 2020, your focus will shift so much. And 2021, sorry, your focus will shift into your personal life, into family. You'll be having almost for 2 years, 2021 and 22 to deal with matters concerning your emotional security, your stability, emotional stability as well. And how it manifests in the external outside world is when you have Saturn and Jupiter. Is the ancient said that when Saturn and Jupiter trigger a house together, they manifest this house. They make it happen. So for some of you, fourth house is to start a family. Some of you, this is exactly what might be happening. Settling down, putting roots, finding a place that you belong in. And Jupiter will bring those opportunities, while Saturn will make you and help you make it happen. Others might be building their own house. Others might be selling or buying property, moving to different places. And because Saturn is involved, you should not rush. It will feel like it comes with heavy responsibilities of some sort and extra hard work. But everything good takes hard work. Everything that feels rewarding takes hard work. So don't fear that. Also, you can see someone start decide to do some renovations in their home. Others might decide, if you're involved in any business that involves nurturing, caring, whether for elderly or for children or for animals, or whether you're in the catering industry, which is fourth house again, or whether you're in real estate, you're gonna have two very intense, very powerful years for such careers, where you can really take your business to another level, or your work. You can have your work will increase in such areas of life. It will be more demanding on you, but at the same time more rewarding, especially towards the end of this period when you see the results. But others will have parenting responsibilities, for example. I've often seen when Saturn and Jupiter activate someone's fourth house is that, like my husband had it last year, and for the last 2.5 years actually, with Saturn only. The parenting responsibilities or caring responsibilities become much heavier, become multiple. Jupiter expands it as well. And is it bad? No, it's, when you're taking care, nurturing something, it's when you become a parent, for example, if you're at this age, this is what it can indicate, becoming a parent. And on some more extreme cases, I have to give you an example, is that sometimes a person has to take care of a parent. They might have more responsibility with the parent. The parent might need health taken care of and responsibility of some sort. Or another way it can manifest is that you take more responsibility together as a couple in your home, with property, with place of living. But this is the time when you really want to grow roots, when you really are working hard on building that foundation. And you see, this is the bottom of the horoscope. If Scorpio is here, this is the horizon. Saturn and Jupiter are right here at the bottom. This is your psychological, emotional foundation. So that's one of the houses called houses of emotional happiness. When Saturn and Jupiter enter there, you start working on that exactly, how to have emotional stability, how to have emotional happiness. But what Saturn does, it brings a lot of things from the past connected to your family, to your home, things you are not aware of before. Maybe family secrets can come to the surface, or you might get very interested into your family tree, to understand your roots, to understand your ancestors. Such important developments, especially for Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising people, they'll notice them. Sorry. And oftentimes, a person, when Saturn and Jupiter transits the fourth house, might want to dig into their family history or work with a psychologist, because it's an emotional house. This is where we keep all the memories from our childhood, and ancestral memories and ancestral karma. So you might have a big task for the next 2 years to work through an ancestral karma. What is an ancestral karma? For example, the ancestral karma holds for 4 generations. The great-grandmother, the grandmother or grandfather, the mother and you. So things that they were doing, they often repeat up to the fourth generation. And it's come time now when you have to break the cycle, and you'll be working on that. For example, say your great grandmother get divorced, your grandmother got divorced, your mom got divorced, and now Saturn and Jupiter entering your fourth house, and you're given a rare opportunity to change that direction, to change that pattern. Or maybe there was an addiction in your family, an addiction pattern, or alcoholism pattern, or pattern of poverty. Anything that is not just you have it, but if you look back, you'll see a repeating pattern. There is a repeating pattern in every family. For someone is some addiction or alcohol, for others is abandonment issues, for others is poverty mentality, for others is some, relationship issues. You have to figure it out, and you'll notice that pattern, and you have to realize that you have the power to change and shift the pattern. That's exactly what happened when my husband had Saturn and Jupiter in the last 1-2 years. In his fourth house, he broke a pattern of his family that's been going on for generations. And it's hard work sometimes. Really helps to work with a psychologist, to dig deep, to understand the motives, the reasons, some family constellations. I don't know what this is, if you know what this is, but it's extremely helpful. Family constellations is when you go to in a group of people, and each one plays a different family person from you. One plays the mother, the other one your sibling or your grandmother, and they almost intuitively, they play those roles, and they intuitively say what the issue is, and it's extremely powerful. I've been to one, and it's kind of really can break a pattern, repeating pattern, make you realize something so profoundly and solve it and move away from it. So yes, some issues from the past will become very present. You might have some deep conversations with family, extended family, mother. But unfortunately, sometimes for this to get triggered, it can mean that some problems with your family, with your parents can come first. In your family situation that you can have some clash there, or some not for everyone. For my husband, it was nothing like that. He did not fight with any of his family, but he was in close proximity with them all the time, and he started noticing those patterns, and they shared a lot of things he didn't know from the past, and he started seeing the pattern and reading psychological books and reading such articles and understanding this pattern, and he's almost free from it now, which is fantastic. To be free from something, as long as you have awareness, you start catching yourself every time you're repeating the same pattern. And Saturn gives you the perseverance to say enough is enough. And Jupiter gives you the hope and the optimism to carry on with that, with those transformations, and the higher wisdom and understanding. Jupiter is knowledge, and to clear up the ignorance that was there, the unconsciousness, the unconscious patterns. Saturn rules unconscious patterns that we repeat over and over, while Jupiter illuminates light there. So it will bring illumination and deep understanding about unconscious patterns, about your family, your roots. It's also fantastic to take some classes or courses that work on clearing the karma with parents. If your mom was an alcoholic, or your father beat you up, or they abandoned you, whatever they harmed you, when Saturn and Jupiter is there, you have to come to peace with that. The pain will come to the surface again. You think a lot about those things, but your ultimate goal, by the time Saturn moves from your fourth house, in 2023, finally, you'd have basically dug all this muck up, understood those, roles, and forgiveness. Jupiter will help, especially in 2021, to kickstart this process of forgiving your parents, forgiving whatever they did, to you. And because you cannot move forward, as I said, this is the foundation in your life, and the fourth house rules the parentals, those that took care of you, mother, father, grandparents. And if there was any harm done there for you, you cannot move forward, upwards in life. These planets, after they come out from your fourth house, they start moving upwards, above, Till now they were coming down, because you need to get to the root for the next 1-2 years. The root of the matter. They always stem in childhood and family. Some are in past lifetimes, but now you're dealing with, with the family root. Resolve it, the family, the ancestral heritage, so to speak.